Good morning and welcome to today's webinar for the Agropur Innovation Contest, Together, Let's Rethink Dairy, brought to you by NineSigma. My name is Jonathan Yakasha, and I will be your host and moderator for today's webinar. Please note that today's webinar is being recorded. The recording and transcription will be made available on the Agropur Innovation Contest page. Our agenda for today. I'll begin with introductions of our speakers. There will be an overview of the Agropur Innovation Contest, and then our panelists will begin discussing the project in greater depth. We'll answer your questions during our live Q&A session and conclude with a brief summary of project information, including where to get more information. As we proceed through the presentation, please feel free to ask any questions at any time. We'll keep track of your questions and address them during the Q&A portion of today's webinar. Moving along now, let me introduce our panelists. From Agropur, we have Caroline Miron, Director, Incubator of Open Innovation, and Michel Pilote, Vice President of R&D. And from NineSigma, we're joined today by Kevin Andrews, PhD, Senior Program Manager. Thank you all for joining us today. Caroline, can you please tell our listeners today more about Agropur and why you've decided to sponsor this challenge?
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining our webinar, and thanks for the interest you have on our challenge. So let me talk to you a little bit about Agropur. So Agropur is a North American industry leader in the dairy industry. In fact, it is a cooperative founded in 1938. It is quite a big cooperative. It has a turnover of 6 billion Canadian dollars in sales in Canada and in the US. Agropur is owned by close to 3,400 members, so they're dairy farmer cooperative members, and there's 8,000 very happy employees that work for our cooperative. All those sales are coming from 39 plants that all across North America that produce dairy products. So a very big player in the North American dairy industry. In fact, we are already in the top 20 dairy producers in the world. We just reached that number this year. What we focus on is that we sell different types of dairy products such as fresh milk, ice cream, cheese, yogurt, and other milk powders and protein blends. So really we go across a wide range of dairy products, but always dairy products. This is really the heart of our business. We have strong brands, which most of you Canadians should know, and then across the world maybe a little bit less, but well known by Canadians. We have the Natural brand, which is mainly milk, ultra-filtered milk. We have Quebon, which is a local Quebec brand in milk and also ice cream. We have some fine cheese, such as Oka. We have Agropur Signature, which is also imported cheese and some local cheese. We have Grand Cheddar, Island Farm, Bipro, which is quite new. It's a mix of protein blend, and also Olympic and Yoko brand, which are our yogurt brands that are joint ventures. So Agropur is a great cooperative to work with, a clear industry leader, and a very solid partner for you guys to partner with. We can go on the next slide, please. So basically, why are we doing this challenge? Why is Agropur doing this challenge? In fact, we seek to identify high-impact solutions that will expand and sustainably develop, as well as reinvigorate the dairy industry. We really want to challenge a convention and create tomorrow's dairy. We believe dairy is extraordinary, and we believe also that dairy needs to be rethink. It's a household staple, and we really want to give completely reinvigorate the category, the dairy category. Next slide, please. So what is this challenge about? Basically, we invite innovators from all around the world to submit proposals to really reinvent together with us dairy for the dairy solutions of tomorrow. It could be food-based, beverage-based. We will give you more details. It could be a packaging option, and we'll explain all this to you in detail. But basically, there's three big phases in this challenge. The first one, which has started last week, is the submission and selection of the participants. You have up till December 7th at 5 p.m. Eastern time to submit your submission online on the NineSigma site. Then the selected participants will be announced in January, and this is where we will start co-developing and prototyping together your solution so that we can propose at our internal expo where we will present all the concepts and choose the selected participants, and then work on potential commercialization together.
And I think now we're going to be turning to Michel to hear a little bit more about this challenge. Michel?
Thank you. And to give you some highlights or some directions, of course, it is intended to be for human consumption. So we would like you to use ingredients and products that are GRAS status or generally recognized as safe. We would like your submissions or your ideas to be innovative, at least for Canada and US. If it comes from other parts of the world, it may be of interest also. If it is a food or a beverage, as a dairy co-op, it must contain some dairy ingredient, dairy products. And in that regard, you are allowed to use all sorts of dairy ingredients, being fresh milk, cream, UHT, blends, all sorts of cheese, ice cream mixes, and all the dairy ingredients you can find, being proteins, lactose, WPC, and so. If, on the other side, you're more on a novel packaging solution or process solution, it must be applicable to dairy products, of course. But that gives you a wide range of potential solutions to build your concept. If we go on the other page, talking about the evaluation criteria, as I was just saying, it must offer a new way to experience dairy. We're looking for something with a wow factor into it. We would like to turn your concept around a real consumer need, not just a breakthrough idea, but what it will answer as need for the customer. And on that, we have 5 themes on which we would like you to focus your proposition on. And I will explain each of these. Consumer health and nutrition. That could be about the natural attributes of dairy, being protein, calcium, minerals, and so, or other ingredients you would like to add to dairy products to increase the nutritional benefits or the health benefits. It could also be a focus on performance. Protein is a very trendy ingredient, so that could be also a focus on that theme. Pleasure and indulgence. Dairy product is a big part of indulgence. Just think about ice cream or specialty cheeses. So it is a big segment in which we see our growth for the future. So if you have your ideas fit that theme, just mention it. Sustainability, of course, is important. Probably more on the packaging side, but if you have process solution or just ways of presenting your idea that it fits the sustainability criteria, it would be also a very good point to add to your proposition. Enhancement of culinary experience. This is more the social aspect of eating. All we do around food is very social, so if you have ideas to have to simplify the preparation of meal. Everyone wants to be a chef, but have only 15 to 20 minutes to prepare the meal. So anything that would simplify meal preparation could be an option. Also, ethnics, visiting the world in your plate is also very interesting. So if you have other ideas around that, that's very good. Convenience is our last platform. Taking dairy out of standard ways of using it, having being for cheese, milk, or others, presentation, cold chains, storage, and things like that. So all about convenience, getting it very practical. For food or beverage solution, of course, we would like it to contain dairy, and that will be one of the requirements to try to express the percentage of dairy in your product, in your idea. We would like you to describe how you would achieve to get to a prototype for April, because in April, as Caroline was mentioning, we will have our internal exhibition where we will present all those prototypes. So it needs to be achievable in 4 months, about. And also, you must include a vision, how you see that coming to a commercial reality in maybe a 1 year life, not life, but span. So these criteria will be very important in your submission.
Great. Thank you, Michel. Turning now to Kevin Andrews, Program Manager for NineSigma. Kevin, could you please tell our attendees what they should include with their proposals?
Thanks, Jonathan. Okay, so in your submission, you should include a non-confidential and non-proprietary description of your proposal that explains how you meet the design evaluation criteria that include. So you should include a title and headline. In a few words, what makes your innovation unique? You should talk about your target consumer, who your proposed solution is for and why it impacts them. You should include what we call the promise, which is what problem your proposed solution will solve for the target consumer. You should offer some tangible proof how and why your proposed approach can solve the problem. It would help to have visuals, and these can be sketches or they can be illustrations as PDF or JPEGs. Your proposal should talk about the estimated % dairy in product for the food and beverage solution. You should also describe the main steps to be able to make your prototype and reach production at industrial scale. You can, we encourage you to include a video link about 1 to 3 minutes in duration in which you talk about your proposed approach and who you are. And finally, your submission should include a description about you or your organization.
Great. Thank you, Kevin. Before we proceed with today's presentation, I'd like to remind our attendees that if you have any questions for the Agropur folks, for Kevin Andrews, this would be a great opportunity for you to get your questions addressed promptly during today's webinar. Just use the question box on your control panel there and submit your questions at any point during today's webinar. We'll get to the questions in just a little while. And like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to take advantage of this opportunity. Turning back to Agropur and Michel, can you tell us about the awards that are available for the different phases of this challenge?
Yes, of course. Phase 1, we're in the process of it. After this phase, each selected participant will receive a cash award of $15,000. This is the amount of money we are giving you to help you develop the prototype of the proposed solution that will be shown in April in Agropur. Once you get there, phase 2, Agropur and its partner to develop that prototyping during phase 2. You will be invited to come to Montreal if you would like to, where we will offer not just our help, but also some non-cash resources from our other partners, like Quartier de l'Innovation in Montreal, what is a hub where you have startup and other entrepreneurs who are getting together to share resources and queues. And you will also have help from a consulting agency, AG Biocenter, which is an incubator of startups, which could help you building your business plans and all give you other access to other resources regarding building your own business. Agropur will be asking you to keep us updated on your progress with the prototyping, And once you get to the end of April with your prototypes in Montreal for the show, then you will be receiving the second portion of the money, which is the other $10,000. After this exhibition, the most interesting concept, if you are retained by the senior management team who will be judging all those prototypes, then we'll start a phase where we have to discuss together what could be the business relationship or the business setup we want to put together in order to reach a commercial application of that idea.
Great, thank you, Michel. And now we'll turn to the live Q&A portion of today's webinar. Please continue to submit your questions. We've already got a handful of them already. As I said previously, this is an excellent opportunity for you to pose your questions directly to NineSigma and Agropur. We'll take the rest of our time to answer your questions today. If we don't get to all of the questions that are asked, don't worry. The Q&A session will be archived and will be posted to the challenge page at a later date. Our first question, I think we're going to go to Michel. Our first question is, how do you envision a non-local participant will prepare a prototype in Canada prior to the event?
That's a good question. You are welcome to come to Montreal to work with us to develop it, but if you decide not to do so, that is also fine. Then we will have to see regarding imports and custom regulation how we can bring the prototype into Canada. Shouldn't be a problem, but needs to be prepared ahead. If ever, for whatever reason, you cannot get your prototype in Canada for custom or sanitary reason, I don't know why, we could work with you once you are well advanced in your prototyping to understand how you do it, to replicate it here in Montreal with within our own laboratories and pilot plant, so we achieve the same prototype that you could show at the exhibition. Of course, that is in the case it would be a food. If it's a packaging or process solution, then we have to discuss together what would be the best way to make it very visible or to show it to our senior management for the event. I hope this answers.
Great, thank you, Michel. Our next two questions I think we'll address to Caroline. First question, what capabilities can Quartier de l'Innovation provide that can help me develop my prototype?
Great, also a great question. Thanks for asking. Basically, as Michel said previously, we've developed a partnership with Quartier d'Innovation to ensure that we were kind of adding more support for the incubees to partner with us. So basically, very concretely, what the Quartier d'Innovation will provide is a workspace with other startups. So it's a joint workspace in an environment that is very, very nice in the center of Montreal. It is downtown Montreal, where you can work with other startups that work in a very wide range of businesses. So a great place to stimulate your ideas and to exchange. The Quartier de l'Innovation have 23 members. They work with 12 incubators and 4 universities. So they also have a great network to be able to foster your idea, to think about it. So, but very concretely, it's a workspace for each incubation.
Okay, and our next question is very similar. We'll stay with you, Caroline. It regards AG Biocenter, specifically what capabilities they can provide to help someone develop their prototype.
Also a good question. As Michel said, AG Biocenter is by itself an incubator accelerator, and their specialty, what they will provide especially in this partnership, is business advisory and consulting support. So they will help the incubees put together a business plan, I would say, more on the other expertise that we are not providing. So we will provide R&D and marketing expertise, and other business advisory will be provided by AG Biocenter. They already work with many startups, so it is their specialty. So we ask the specialists to help you guys that will be selected support you in the business advisory. Also, for Canadian participants, they will help have potential additional government grants. This is also one of their specialties, to help startups get additional grants, but this is unfortunately only for Canadian startups because of government law.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Michelle, our next question I think will be for you. Is there a way to purchase Agropur dairy ingredients from an international distributor so that I can use proper ingredients while prototyping in my location?
Yes, this is possible because we already sell some of them on an international base. We have an export group, so that could be feasible. And we just have to find the best option to do it. And if ever it's not possible, we will have to discuss that together, because some of them are very, I would say, widely available dairy ingredients, and they are fairly similar worldwide. So there must be a way to find similar ingredients available locally so that you can prototype, and later on we could reproduce it here. So that will be a discussion between the selected people and us to make sure we find the best and easiest solution.
Great, thank you, Michelle. Our next question I think we'll address over to Kevin Andrews from NineSigma. Do we need to apply as individuals, or can we be a team of 2 or more? Kevin?
Sure. So yes, you can do it either way. Actually, if you're a team, if you wish to be a team, then prepare your proposal jointly. You'll have to appoint a point of contact representative for your team, the person who would be submitting the proposal and potentially responding to inquiries if they are selected. So yes, absolutely, you can work with more than one.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kevin. Our next question is in regards to food tech resources. Basically, the questioner is asking if they have access to any Agropur food tech resources. Michelle, Caroline, can you comment on that?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. That's part of the offer we will have. We have in the Montreal area, actually the Montreal suburb, complete facility where we have laboratories, food grade laboratories, and a full pilot plant. So we can work from anything from starting in a beaker or a pot up to a few thousand liters in the pilot plant. And our pilot plant is very flexible, so we can reproduce whatever ingredient, being ice cream, cheese, beverages. The only thing we cannot do locally is drying, but that also could be arranged if you have a solution, because Agriculture Canada has a station close by where they have those facilities and it's easy for rental. So that could be part of the solution. So don't worry about that. We have a full staff here. The Montreal team is about 30 persons. We have 6 PhDs in the room, in the team. So if you need some advices, trying to resolve some issues, we could give you tips and help you overcome these.
Great, thank you, Michelle.
Just a point of clarification regarding phase 1. If you have technical questions that you need to understand answers to before you submit your proposal, please submit those questions to NineSigma. NineSigma will relay them to Agropur and seek answers that we can share through our question and answer process outside of the webinar. So while you don't have direct access to those food tech resources to prepare your proposal, we can certainly field your technical questions.
Okay, and kind of along those lines then, Kevin, would that also apply for working with a Agropur chemist or biologist during phase 1?
Yeah, ultimately, if you have technical questions that you need to ask that are related to chemistry or biology, for example, or any other technical aspect as you consider your proposal, please send those questions to NineSigma through the provider help desk, There are links on the contest page to that email address. And we'll relay those questions to Agropur so that we can get answers that we can share with you.
Great. Thank you, Kevin. We'll wait just a moment here for our next question to come in, and it's coming in right now. Give me just a moment here. Okay, our next question. We're going to address this to the folks at Agropur. Would we have access to shelf life testing resources at Agropur? They haven't indicated at what phase during the challenge.
That is a very good question.
Two.
It is a very good question. Regarding shelf life issues, as we are only talking about prototyping, I'm not sure it's very relevant to do full shelf life assessment. The idea is to bring a product with an expected shelf life, but of course all food safety requirements will be done. I mean, by saying that, I mean doing some microbial analysis, looking for if there is ever pathogen or something, not to poison our judges, of course. But besides that, I don't think it's very important at this moment to do a full shelf life assessment. We could discuss that, of course, but that would come in the further development if you are selected as a product or solution.
Great, thank you, Michel. We're going to turn for our next question to Kevin Andrews, and he touched on this briefly. For general questions about the competition, stages, business proposal, who should we contact?
So that's a good question. Your general questions, please send them to the provider help desk to NineSigma. NineSigma will answer those questions, or if we need to include technical insights from Agropur, we'll reach out to them as needed. So for your questions about the competition process and your preparation or the preparation of your proposal response, NineSigma is a good place to start.
All right, we've got another little bit of a lull in the questions coming in. Wait just a moment here for our next question to come in.
So I think this question, this is Kevin, I think this question pertains to packaging. So the audience member indicates that there's a movement to remove packaging, primarily in the retail segment, to reduce packaging, starting with non-edible and moving to edible. They want to know if Agropur is interested in this concept, and they also want to understand what you're interested in, what your interest is regarding a concept that may already be patent approved.
Okay, that's a good question. Well, anything that would fit very well the sustainable platform we mentioned earlier. So going to more eco-friendly or even edible packaging could be also of interest. If some of them are already patented, but it may be something we're not aware of. So that could also be a proposition. In such case, of course, it will influence the business development after that. Looking into licensing rights for patent use and things like that. But that could very well be an option also. So we're not eliminating good ideas. If they are already protected, there may be a way to do business with those who did protect the idea. So I don't see that as being an option or a non-feasible option. Yes, I would welcome that.
Very good. Thank you, Michel. Okay. Our next question actually deals again with the issue of packaging sustainability. The questioner would like to know, they have a process that uses dairy waste products to generate green energy, and they're wondering if that would be of interest in this particular challenge.
It's a good question. The challenge here is more focusing at consumer products for the moment. It doesn't mean that we're ruling out any other interesting ideas, but I would say the odds of being retained for that phase, bringing a prototype in 4 months as a consumer product, may not be of the most interest for the moment. So there are good ideas in this field, but I don't think it's for that contest at this moment in time.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification, Michel. Once again, if you have a question that you would like to pose to NineSigma or to Agropur, this is a phenomenal opportunity to pose your question directly to members of this particular webinar panel and get your question answered promptly. If you have questions, like I said, this is a great time to pose those questions. Not to say that you can't ask questions later. We'll have some information on a couple of upcoming slides on how you can get information after today's webinar. But if you have questions, now would be a great opportunity for you to ask them. All right, I think we have reached the end of our questions, so I will go ahead and proceed with the closing of today's webinar. First off, what can you do today? On your screens right now, you'll see the URL for the Agropur Reinvent Dairy Challenge on 9 sites. Additionally, you can see there the information on how to contact the NineSigma Solution Provider Help Desk via email or by phone. If you've got process-related questions, if you've got technical questions, the Provider Help Desk would be your first stop for getting answers. If you need any help, that's what the Solution Provider Help Desk is there to provide. Key piece of information is on the screen there as well. The deadline to submit, December 7th, 2016 at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We won't be able to accept proposals after that time. So please be sure to contact us early if you're having difficulties with your proposal. And that will conclude today's webinar. One final reminder, this webinar was recorded and will be made available along with a transcript of the question and answer session. Thank you to our speakers and our panelists for their time and expertise. To our audience members, we appreciate your time and look forward to receiving your submissions. Thanks, and have a great day.